Hey everybody! So I'm not really sure what to call this video because it's not really a vlog. I'm basically just gonna be showing you a lot of things. I guess we could call it some version of a show and tell. Basically, back in October in my spooky series, I did a video talking about the Joker, why he's one of my favorite villains ever, and mentioned a little bit how much I love the whole universe of Batman and all the villains and obviously Batman. But that video was mostly about the Joker. Eventually, I wanted to talk more about Batman, but I'm not even gonna be really doing that today. Basically, a few years ago, I really started collecting a lot of different things, mainly pop vinyl figures like Funko Pop and comic books. So I don't think I can call myself like the biggest Batman fan ever. As much as I love him and that whole universe, I know that there are a lot of people that are way more into all of this than I am, and I respect that. So I'm a big fan, but I don't know everything. I still have a lot to learn. I've had a lot of fun collecting all this stuff, and I just want to show you some of it because I think it's cool, and if you don't, then whatever. I guess before I start just showing you things, I want to kind of like talk about how I got into all of this, because it has been a process and I've been collecting this stuff for a while and I still have a lot more stuff that I want to collect. It's like an unending cycle. There are still so many comics that I want, so many pops. Probably more comics than pops at this point because I do really like the collection I have going. Anyways, I started loving Batman back in, I want to say, elementary school. I just remember my older sister got super into Spider-Man and that was like her hero. And I honestly, there wasn't like one moment that I was just like, whoa, Batman, this is so cool. Like, it wasn't like I saw one book or one picture or something. Back when I was in elementary school, there was an animated show on Kids WB called Batman, and I watched that all the time. That was like one of my favorite shows, and I think that's kind of where it all started. I watched that show all the time, and then I got really into Teen Titans when that came out. Still love them. So for a while, I was mostly just watching a lot of cartoons and shows, and then the Christopher Nolan Batman movies started coming out. Well, Batman Begins came out 2008. When Batman Begins first came out and I saw that, I was like, yes. Batman Begins was instantly like one of my favorite movies. And then obviously the rest came out and I freaking loved all of those. Those are my favorite Batman movies out of all of them so far, and I think that goes for a lot of people. So yeah, it started with some TV shows and the movies, and a few years ago, I think I started collecting pops before comics. It's all a blur. It's hard to remember. I've just been collecting so much for a while that I'm not sure which was first. I'm gonna show you quick what my whole collection looks like. I'm not gonna show you each one by one. I'm just gonna show you some of my favorites that correspond with some books I have. This is my whole collection. As you can see, it is primarily Batman and some Joker and Harley Quinn characters that are in the Batman universe. There are so many pops. And really the main genre that I love enough that I want to collect is Batman. We also have, I say we, these other pops are Taylor's. I've gotten him a few, but his are more like in the pop culture line. The first ones we ever got were the Walter White pops from his sister. We have South Park and Walter White, and then all the really awesome, well, not all, he still has a few of the Lord of the Rings ones to get. But yes, the room I film in is very nerdy and I love it so much, and I still have more things I want. Obviously, it never ends. A few years ago, I decided that I wanted to get more into comics and the books and all the different stories. I reached out to a lot of different friends I knew already were into comics and stuff. The world of comic books can be very intimidating if you don't know like specifically what you're looking for, there are like hundreds of different series, like hundreds of different Batman series out there. At first I was just interested on learning, like reading more about like the backstories of like the different villains and like stories that aren't in the movies and things like that, because I knew even from watching like the shows and movies, like there's still a lot to the world that I don't know and I want to know it. So the first one I got is called Year One. The point of a book like this is it's like several comic books all compacted into one book. So if I wanted to read this whole series the original way, I would have to get all the comic books in that series. So Year One came out in 1986, and this is like about how Batman became Batman. It's like Year One, the beginning. A lot of people said that this was a great place to start because it's just a really good series, and obviously it's like the beginning of Batman. So I got this and I read this one first. It's really good. Then another one I got, a little bigger, it's called Batman The Long Halloween. This is like the whole complete series of this story. So all this is like a bunch of different comic books. So this is broken up in like chapters, but it gives you chapter 1, chapter 2. It like breaks up where one book would end and the other one started, which a lot of these type of books do. A friend gave me these for my birthday one year. These are like volumes of different series. These I actually don't have all the volumes of, which I need to get. These 3 different books are volume 1, 2, and 3 of one big series of the new Batman, the New 52, which is just one of the names for one of the Batman series. So basically, I get all these to just read all the stories. I mean, they're really cool too, because it's a good graphic novel. Like, it's the comics. It's just all into one. I have a lot of comic books too, but I have been getting those more as like my collector pieces, finding covers that I really love, because another part of comics is there's so many different artists that do different covers and variants of each like comic, and really getting into collecting these is kind of like pieces of art too. I mean, there's a lot of comics that are more valuable than others, or it's like a rare copy or something like that. I don't have many of those, but a lot of the ones I collect are either it's a part of a story that I really liked, if it's like a specific artist that I really like, or just thinking the art is really cool. That's that. Those are the first part of my collection. This collection I have really pales into comparison of a lot of other people's collections that I have seen. I have these 2 boxes. These are all my comics. Some of you may think it's a lot. Some of you may be like, oh, that's cute. She has 2 little boxes of comic books. Because that's kind of how I feel sometimes. So this box here is this Catwoman series, and I don't think this is even the like whole complete series. Like, there are so many comics in like different series, but I also love Catwoman, so I was all over getting this series. The covers are so cool. I'll just show you a few of them. Volume 1 is really cool. This is the prologue to Death of the Family, which is a storyline that's in one of those books I showed you, but there are a few different books that have this cover, so it's like half of Joker's face, and this part is like a cutout and it folds over and Catwoman's on the inside, but I'll show you in a minute. I have another one. I really liked this one. Kind of like vintagey looking. So this is from this series I have. This cover is done by a guy who's now like one of my favorite comic artists named Aunt Lucia, and he did this whole series creating comic covers of a bunch of the different female villains and other female characters like Batgirl and stuff too, in like a vintage like pinup style. It's the Bombshell series. It's like, it made him huge, and this is the first cover I found that I like introduced me to his whole series. I actually got it signed by him at C2E2. So this is signed by Adam Hughes, and Will Pfeiffer, who's one of the writers on the book. So this one's framed, obviously, because it's just super cool. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few other of my favorite covers that I've collected, and then show you some of my favorite pops. So in my other box, I have these crazy cool, kind of like holographic covers. I don't know if you'll be able to see that from camera. It's hard to tell. I don't think these comic books are necessarily like rare or really special, but I just thought they were really cool because I had never seen a book like this with this like hard plastic, like three-dimensional, like kind of holographic cover on it. I don't really even know what series they're from, but I was like, these are neat. I got this 25th anniversary special of Harley Quinn. There is a Harley Quinn comic series, actually a few. These were done by Aunt Lucia as well. There's 2 variants he did, and I got both of them, and I got him to sign them both. These are one of my favorites for sure, or 2 of my favorites. So here's another one of the covers of that Death in the Family I mentioned before. This one peels back and Batman's on the other side. So that's kind of cool. A really old cover I got from my friend Justin again. A lot of the stuff I have is from him, but this one again, I don't know if there was like a original copy that's worth a lot or something, but I just thought this one looked really cool, so I got it. Again, like I said, some of them I do like because I know they're from a certain series or something, but then some of them I'm just like, that looks really cool and I want it. Here's another old vintage copy. Again, don't think it's worth anything, but I think it's really cool. Two-Face. So these are 3 books that are actually from one of the books I have. Got this cover, really cool cover, and it is signed by Scott Snyder. So yeah, another cover from that series, signed by Scott Snyder and I think Greg Capullo. And yeah, this one too, I really like this one. Insane signatures. So these are some other of my favorites because I really love that series. The story is super good and these covers are super cool. So yeah, that's that. This is the book I have paid the most for out of all of my books. I have seen this a few times at different conventions and it's caught my eye every time. I saw it at this one convention and the price was a little lower than I had seen it before. So I was like, okay, I'm going for it because I have to have it. So this amazing cover, Harley Quinn. This is like drawn like art, but it looks like a photograph, and I don't know, I just think it is so awesome. It is older. I think this one's, I want to say the 90s. And this is where I feel kind of dumb or bad, like I should have done some more research, but this is one I really like bought because it looks vintage. It's like the artwork is so cool and it's just like grabbed my attention every time I saw it, so I got it. I'm about to get to the pops, I promise. This cover of Bane, my friend got it for me at C2E2 the first year I went just because he's really nice, and Justin, the guy I buy everything from, got this for me. I thought the cover was so cool. There is the second book in that series I ended up getting the cover of. So basically, I need to get another frame so these can be next to each other because, like that, does that work? Huh? Like facing off, like it's so cool. Now I'm gonna show you some of my favorite pops. If you want to see all of them again, you can rewind back in the video when I give you the whole view. And some of them, actually I think all of them, correlate with some covers I actually have, which makes me just love them even more. I got all the different variations of the Catwoman pop that are from the DC Bombshell series that go with that red comic cover I showed you. So the original, kind of hard to show you guys without getting the glare. There was a BAM Books A Million exclusive, and her coloring looks more like, I don't know if you can tell, but it's more like a sepia tone. And then I got the Chase version, which is She's my only chase right now. I actually got this one signed by Aunt Lucia, so she's just extra special. Another one from the Bombshell series. This one is the Harley Quinn Bombshell. I got this one signed by Aunt Lucia. One of my favorite of the Bombshells, this is one of my favorites. Again, got Aunt Lucia to sign this one. I have a lot of autographs by this guy, and I have a few more to get. Another one of my favorite Bombshells is the Poison Ivy one. This is actually one of the covers I still have to get. And then I also have the Wonder Woman, also signed by Aunt Lucia. Her cover is one I still have to get too. This next one is the Killing Joke version of the Joker, and this was a New York Comic Con special edition, limited edition from 2016. So he goes, I don't have the paper version of this book. That's another comic I hope to get someday, which really isn't that hard to get, but it's one of those ones that's a little more pricier because it's such an iconic story. So this Batman is from a movie called Flashpoint. Ooh, sorry, bad glare. This is actually Thomas Wayne as Batman, because in the movie Flashpoint, it's like a parallel universe where Bruce Wayne got shot instead of his parents, and Thomas Wayne becomes Batman. He's a much more grim and aggressive form of Batman. I think he actually kills people. And this one, which goes with that, is the Martha Wayne Joker. In that movie, they don't show her as the Joker. There's a scene that insinuates that that's what happens. She's like holding Bruce in the alley and she's like crying and sobbing, and then she had her hand over her mouth when she was crying, and then she takes her hand off. It was like a bloody hand because Bruce's blood, and there's like red all over her mouth, and then she starts like laughing hysterically. So basically at that point you're like, okay, so Martha becomes the Joker. And yes, that's what happens in that universe, because now this is where a lot of you are probably gonna call me out, and that's okay. There's actually a comic series of that story. I actually have a few books from that series. The first one I got, I have framed because it's very special edition. I got this in C2 at C2E2. It was a convention exclusive. It's like a... It's hard to show you because there's so much glare, but it's a foil cover, so it's like all shiny and stuff. It's Batman, The Flash, and one thing I don't understand yet, which again, I feel like such a stupid fan, be like, look at this cool book, and I don't even know the whole story behind it, but they're holding the little smiley face pin from Watchmen. I don't really know why. So if you know, please tell me and educate myself, because again, a lot of these covers I like to collect because they're really cool. I really like the Flashpoint story, and so when I found out this cover was related to that, or was that story, I was like, I want that. So my amazing boyfriend got me these for Christmas last year. I did ask for them. There are a few covers, they're all the same story, but this is a good example of different variants. So this is inside, it's all the same story, but these all have a different cover. So this one is actually another one of those like hard plasticky hologrammy covers. And then this cover, which is not holographic, it's just Thomas Wayne Batman standing over Bruce and Martha in the alley. Should have looked up who the artist is for this cover, but it's like this interesting kind of artsy looking, just Batman with a shadow of like Thomas Wayne's Batman behind him. It's cool. So that was a very unorganized explanation and show and tell, if you will, of all my favorite pops and comics. I don't know how many of you will find this interesting or even make it through this whole video, because I'm kind of just like, hey, look at this, look at that, Batman. I think all this stuff is super cool. It just makes me want to know more about the story. The more I get into it, the more I love it. Yeah, I'm a big geek and it's great. Thanks for watching, guys. If you made it through the whole video, I appreciate it. Or if you're still here and you're just, you don't know why you're still watching, thank you. You can follow me on all social media at its_justcaitlin, or on Facebook is It's Just Caitlin. Alright guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye!